Hey, sports fans and friends, thanks for tuning in on the Shotgun Sports Network YouTube channel, Facebook, or wherever you get your podcast. Please smash the like and subscribe buttons and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we post new content. Welcome to episode 4 of Stampeders Roundup. We have a huge show for you. Calgary Stampeders #1 draft pick, Damien Alford, pops in to discuss being drafted, rookie training camp, and more. I also have Ryan Ballantine from 3 Down Nation, and I talking about how the Calgary Stampeders are shaping up for the 2025 CFL season. But first, let's do the Calgary Sports Update, brought to you by Gametime Tickets. Sports fans and friends, are you tired of missing out on tickets or paying ridiculous prices for other guys' tickets? Gametime has your back. When you buy on Gametime, your tickets will be on time and authentic, guaranteed. If you find a lower price elsewhere, they will make up 110% of the difference. Last minute plans have never been easier. Buy tickets, send them to friends, and get into the venue all from your phone. Head on over to gametime.co and enter promo code SAVE20 at checkout. Or in the Gametime app, go to your profile and redeem code SAVE20 and get $20 off your first purchase of $150 or more. Not spending $150 on tickets? Use promo code GameTime1019848 to get $5 off your first purchase. That's GameTime1019848 to get $5 off your first purchase. Check the links in the description. The Calgary Flames' Mackenzie Weegar and Team Canada look for a third straight win tonight, taking on France. By the time this episode is released, we should have already won that game. Sorry, France. Sam Honzek scored his first goal at a major IIHF tournament, but Slovakia unfortunately lost to Austria 3-2 in the shootout. Dan Vladar marked his first World Championships appearance with an assist and a win as Czechia beat Denmark 7-2. Flames forward Adam Klapka did not dress for that game. And Flames captain Michael Backlund had 4 shots on goal, and Rasmus Andersson had 1 shot on goal in a 2-1 Sweden win over Finland. The Calgary Hitmen acquired the rights to prospect Landon Arnheim from Portland Winterhawks in exchange for prospect Sam Spehar. Sorry, I probably butchered those names. The forward from Salina, Texas, has been playing for the Dallas Stars Elite Under-16 AAA team for the past 4 seasons and is coming off an insane season, scoring 29 goals and 63 assists for 92 points in just 38 games. The Hitmen were also busy at the WHL US Priority Draft, selecting 2 forwards. They drafted forward Gabriel Belanger from Anchorage, Alaska, with the 21st overall pick, and with the 26th overall pick, the Hitmen also selected forward Keegan Brown from Denver, Colorado. The Calgary Canucks are Alberta Junior Hockey League champions for a second straight season. The Canucks won the Interpipe Cup on April 23rd, beating the Grand Prairie Storm 7-3 in Game 4 of the AJHL Championship. The Canucks will now host the 9 league champions from the Canadian Junior Hockey League in the 2025 Centennial Cup. Calgary Roughnecks are, of course, in their off-season, but 2025-2026 season tickets are now on sale. You can go to calgaryroughnecks.com for pricing and info. And the Cavalry FC beat the Halifax Wanderers 3-0 on Saturday. Tobias Warshawski opened the scoring with a goal on a penalty kick in the first half. Ali Musi scored back-to-back in the second half, as the Calgary beat the Wanderers, like I said, 3-0. The Cavalry's next match is this Saturday against Pacific FC. Sports fans and friends on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be notified when we go live or post, and like and follow at Staps Roundup on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Hey, Ryan, welcome to Stampeders Roundup. How's it going?
Good, man. It's good to be back. Looking forward to the season. The off season was at least 3 weeks too long. So looking forward to getting back at it.
3 weeks too long or 3 months too long?
Well, I mean, from when they were eliminated, maybe, but the Grey Cup, they should have been in the playoffs. They should have been in the Grey Cup. So a little bit upset that didn't happen, and those 3 weeks, we'll just choose to ignore them.
Hey, no worries. It's going to happen this year. We got some good talent coming in this year. And speaking of which, I got a surprise for tonight's show. Number 1 draft pick, Damien Alford. Welcome to Stampeders Roundup.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Man.
How are you?
Good to have you.
I'm good. Can't complain.
That's good. So Damien, I know you're probably pretty busy. So Ryan and I are just going to ask you a few questions here, and then we'll let you go and on your way.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So first of all, welcome to the CFL, and more specifically, the best team in the CFL. How's your last week been so far for you?
My week's been busy. With finishing up with the Kansas City Chief camp, and after getting right on a plane and coming out to Calgary, it was I had to pack fast. That's all I gotta say. I had to pack fast and get myself ready for rookie mini camp. And right now we're in day 2, going into day 3. Everything's looking good. Trying to just get acclimated back into the Canadian system, but I'm pretty confident, so it's looking good.
That's good. Yeah, you attended rookie mini camp with the Kansas City Chiefs. How was that experience?
As a football player and just being from Canada, it was an amazing experience. Just being in those types of rooms, those types of environments, learning from the coaches that are up there. It was amazing. It took my game to another level on the football knowledge side, and also on the just going out on the field and executing wise.
And how was Patrick Mahomes? Is he
there.
there? He's probably not there during rookie mini
Nah,
camp throwing balls to you, is he?
No, he was not there.
Ryan, you got any questions for Damien?
Yeah, just I know you went to school in Quebec, but then you played kind of high school ball down in the States. How long has it been since you've played football on a Canadian-sized field?
I want to say I was 18 the last time I played, or 17.
Oh, yeah, okay, so not that long ago.
Not that long. Not that long. But
okay.
Still, just being in college in the States for that long and kind of like not remembering certain Canadian rules, it's obviously I'm learning them now. I'm starting to like it's second nature to me again. But just like I've been in the States for so long, so I kind of lost it a little bit.
So then, as a guy with your size, your build, your reach, your height, how much is the extra room going to benefit you with your speed and your ability to break away? And now you've got this much more space. How much are you looking forward to working on the Canadian field?
It's really just playing free. Obviously the United States fields are smaller, so it's more compressed. Now I'll be able to really stride out, use my strides when it's breakaways. When I catch the ball, take it upfield. Something I didn't do a lot in the States throughout my college career, which I was aware of, is just like now, obviously being a pro, it's working on my flaws and just catching the ball and turning upfield and making big plays.
Yeah, now I saw a write-up. I can't remember where exactly it was, but they said every evaluation of Alford requires the use of a bib because it's hard not to drool over the possibilities. They also said, and speaking of your weaknesses, I don't know if there's weaknesses here, but they say, but his limited route tree masked some difficulty getting in and out of his breaks. Hardly touched the field after transferring to Utah. CFL teams will have to decide whether that was a product of his limitations or an example of a coaching staff failing to maximize your unique skill set. I'm betting it's the latter.
Honestly, what you said though, coming in and out of my breaks, that's something I was aware of. Being a taller receiver, it's kind of it's not easy to do. So just working with my coaches that know my game and working on it every day, being consistent at it. Now that I put on more weight, I can throw my weight around more. So it's really just it's with time. Obviously, I didn't play that much at Utah. Well, I didn't play at Utah. It was a learning experience, but I practiced more than I played. So that's at the end of the day, I'm grateful for the opportunity that I had over there, and now that I'm a Stampeder, it's all about that right now.
Yeah, I'd like to see some of those guys make some breaks too on the field. Get some of the media out there and see how well they do. Ryan, what do you got?
Well, I was just obviously, I imagine that it wasn't long before you were on the phone with Vernon, talking about coming to town and getting in. Vernon has long loved a tall receiver, a guy who can go up and get the ball and come down with it. And when you look at that receivers room, you are the tallest guy in the room at 6'6", but there are 6'3", 6'4", 6'1", 6'2". There's a whole bunch of guys that break that 6 foot threshold. What about your game will really kind of pair well with what Vernon does? Have you had much chance to kind of go back and review his tape and see what he's been doing?
Great
Yeah,
question.
I watched his tape. We worked out. We worked out in Montreal. We worked out once when I was in Syracuse, and we worked out again recently before I left to go to the Kansas City Chiefs camp. He knows how to get the ball to the big receivers. I can tell already. I watched his tape already. I have nothing bad to say about him. He's a quarterback that I personally would love to have on my team. And the fact that he's on my team right now, I'm more than happy. I'm more than happy, grateful. It's really just going out there, obviously building the chemistry, working with the other receivers, getting acclimated with them, building the chemistry with them, and learning from them, because obviously I'm the rookie now. So learning from the vets that been on the field over there, that understand the game, understand the tempo, and just learning and playing my role as a receiver.
How does the new turf feel?
It's good.
It's good. It's good. It's good. I love. Well, it's soft right now, so we'll see how it gets during the season. But right now, I love it.
You don't know how good you got it. I've heard stories about the old turf.
Yeah, I heard stories too.
Yeah, you can go back to when it was just a carpet on concrete if you really want to, but
no, I can't do that.
Things have gotten better since then. But I think when playing with Vernon, obviously he's a guy, like we said, that throws to the big receiver, but he's also able to kind of get out and scramble. And you'll have to excuse me not seeing tape from 2 years ago in Syracuse, but how do you kind of react to that scramble drill? Because Vernon is great at making extra time. So in those scenarios, kind of how creative are you about getting yourself open?
I'm pretty conscious of when the quarterback rolls out. In Syracuse, I had my quarterback Garrett Schrader. He scrambled as well, and it's really just finding the windows and just fitting in and making the plays once it's presented to you. And I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue to me. It's just like getting my head around and just seeing where he's running off to and going where I know he can throw it to.
I'm going to throw a general question about American college football. How aware of the CFL are college players down there? Is it even on their radar, or is it all NFL talk?
I'm gonna say a little bit of both, but it's obviously more NFL because that's where everybody wants to go. Me as a Canadian football player, I grew up watching the CFL, so I never really watched the NFL growing up because I only started playing football when I was 12. And being from Montreal, going to the Alouettes game, watching the game, I fell in love with the CFL. So for me, when it came to NFL, CFL, it was really just going to the best spot where I'd fit in and get the best opportunity.
Geez, you must be at the age where growing up as an Alouettes fan, you saw a lot of Anthony Calvillo and looked up to him, I would imagine.
Yeah, I've seen one of his games, and then I've seen Chad Ochocinco play as well.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What I love about Ochocinco is that he went back down to the States and he really became the choir for the CFL. Like anybody that brings up the CFL to Ocho, he just says, they're way better football players than people think. And I think that's something that I love to hear when guys go down to the NFL or go back in front of the NFL audience. And like, the CFL is no joke. It's not a secondary league. If you expanded the NFL by 8 teams, most guys in the CFL would become NFL players overnight, I think, exactly. in that way. But when you you're growing up in Montreal, so you're a Canadian, you've gone down to the States. Like you said, you've spent so many years down in the States that you're coming back and you're readjusting. Does that give you a little bit of a way to fit in with the other kind of rookies and guys that are coming up to the CFL for the first time, to kind of be kind of the conduit of, yeah, I've been in the States the last 5 or 6 years, but let me tell you a little bit about Canada, and they can kind of take your word for it a little more because you have been down there a little bit? Like, is there kind of that within the rookie class? Obviously you've got the pedigree of being the first overall pick, but within that rookie class, is there kind of that mentality of, yeah, let me be that conduit between Canadians and Americans?
Not really. Is most of the guys that I know that are here, some of them obviously played in Montreal. Most of the guys here there's a lot of Quebec guys on the rookie class. We're close. Some of the guys played in the States, some of them played in Canada. They understand at the end of the day, they're hungry. The CFL is a goal that they always wanted to achieve. Some of us, we got the opportunity to go to the States, some of them didn't. It's how it plays out, but we all remain humble at the end of the day, and we all probably took different paths, but we all end up at the same spot. So it's really just remaining humble and just remaining hungry as well.
Now, speaking of humble and staying hungry, how is it catching passes from PJ Walker, a guy who has a long NFL career, who's now coming up as a CFL rookie, a 30-year-old rookie? How has it been dealing with PJ?
It's been good. It's been good. All the quarterbacks are vocal. He's vocal as well. As a receiver, you catch the ball from whichever quarterback is throwing to you. Obviously, it's still fresh. We're gonna adapt. We're gonna get better. The season's in June. Games are coming up. Preseason in May. It's really we're gonna be ready by then. It's not really an issue. It's just obviously continuing to build a chemistry.
I'll ask you one more quick question here, and then we'll let you go. Have you been to Nick's Steakhouse yet, or the barbecue shack across from the stadium? Great places.
Nah, I have not. I have yet to go explore Calgary. I'm trying to figure out where to go. I've seen there's a mall near here. The only place I've really been down here was the Walmart to go get some stuff. So I haven't really.
Ryan, any suggestions? Any suggestions?
That's the life of a CFL rookie, I think. As you look at that contract, but I think when Nick's is always the right choice. They will always take care of you. They got good cuts. If you're a steak guy, and Big T's is also across the street there. The barbecue shack. You can't go wrong with that from stadium food.
I'm gonna definitely give it a try.
And I mean, whatever Reggie's cooking, I imagine is going to be good. When Reggie Bagleton rolls in, I think they always take care of guys and getting in on kind of the family dinners and that. But Calgary will offer you. It doesn't quite have the downtown that Montreal has. For those people who have been to Montreal, there is a different kind of nightlife here. But the nightlife here is also good times. I don't think you'll have any trouble enjoying the experience of being a football player in Calgary once the season gets rolling.
No, I definitely feel like I'm gonna enjoy it. Obviously, just got here, still need to do some sightseeing, exploring, but it'll happen with time. I got time, so it's okay.
And if you haven't, if you've never made your way out here for a Stampede in your life, that will Stampede can change your life in a way that.
So you're saying I need to go get a cowboy hat?
Yeah, well, you don't have to wear the cowboy hat, but I mean, the team will make you wear it. But I got buddies that come from out east and they come out here and they see Stampede and they're like, I don't understand how everybody just gets into all these places and just gets along all the time. Like, it's just such a happy, friendly atmosphere. It kind of is a different role than we see in other parts of the country with festivals and stuff like that. So yeah, Stampede is a good time. And now that we've got the Stampede Bowl here as a home game, typically the team would disappear during Stampede and try and not compete. And now they've kind of joined in. And so I imagine there will be lots of opportunity to see what Stampede has to offer.
Definitely gonna be there. Definitely.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
And definitely get out to the mountains.
Yes.
Mountains? Oh yeah, there is mountains.
Oh yeah.
I can't see mountains right now, so that's what.
Banff and Canmore, just 45 minutes away. You're
okay.
Yeah, when you get up to the top of the stadium, just look west, and you can't miss it.
All right, Damien. Good luck this season and in camp, and we'll talk to you down the road, possibly.
Most definitely. Thank y'all.
And again, welcome to the team.
Thank you.
All right, number 1 draft pick in the CFL, Damien Alford. There, great guy.
Yeah, really looking forward to seeing what he's going to be able to do here in Calgary. I mean, again, when you talk about 6'6", 230 something, and a 4.46 speed, I mean, just the danger that he presents is incredible. I think from that standpoint, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how he'll be utilized in a Calgary offense that for the last couple of years has really not gone down the field enough. And I think with a guy like Alford and Bagleton and you've got Philpott and those guys, the ability to stretch the field and have Vernon find those guys down the field, I think is really going to bring a dynamic approach to this Calgary offense that's been missing kind of in that Jake Mayer era.
Yeah, listen to this. Damien Alford, Reggie Bagleton, Dominique Rhymes, Jalen Philpott. I mean, that receiving core sounds deadly.
Kevin Jones is another big target down the field that can get down the field. I loved Clark Barnes. I will stand by the idea that Clark Barnes was this team's best Canadian receiver over the last couple of years. And let's not forget Malik Henry either, right? I mean, a phenomenal player that if he's able to return from injury and be the player he was before, I mean, you've got a lot of super dangerous weapons for Vernon to throw to.
Yeah, and I mean, even at the quarterback position, Vernon Adams Jr. obviously going to be the starter. PJ Walker, a hell of a backup there. Who do we have otherwise in the position there for depth?
I think you've got Logan Bonner as your third.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think he's in there as the third quarterback. And he may or may not win the job in camp or lose the job in camp, but at the moment he was the guy that was on the roster last year for the Stampeders. He was out there, Logan Bonner is that's weird. Oh, there you go. Okay. Logan Bonner is there. You've also got two American quarterbacks coming in Josh Love and Joey Gatewood. Don't know much about them, but there's always a possibility that one of them can steal that third job away from Logan Bonner with an impressive camp in preseason.
Yeah. I mean, then at the running back position, we got Dedrick Mills expected to be running the ball for the bulk of the season, I would assume, if he stays healthy. More than likely be sharing duties with Joshua and Antwi. And what do you think about that? That sounds like a pretty good backfield.
Yeah, again, if Mills is able to be who Mills is capable of being, then I don't think there's any concern at the running back position. Joshua and Antwi, hasn't done much in the way of big time stats over the course of the years. But if I'm not mistaken, he's also though the specialist when it comes to that dribble kick in Montreal, as he did that a couple times previously. So I think we'll see what he's able to do. I mean, he only carried the ball 19 times for 93 yards. He's not got the kind of blowaway stats that you might hope. He's got 1,000 career yards on 200 touches. So I mean, is he a secondary option? Certainly, but you're looking for Dedrick Mills to be your full-time back.
Yeah, if he stays healthy. The O-line, who will fill the void left from center Sean McEwen leaving?
I think you see Nkanu. Nkanu will step in there. I think they drafted him. He played center when he was younger. He played center in college. I think Nkanu comes into that center spot. And he was last year's first round draft pick and started throughout the season across the offensive line. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Nkanu come in and take that starter's role right away. On the flip side, the other guy they drafted in the first round this year, Fortin, Christopher Fortin, he also apparently can play all three positions. So I think there's in being tackle, guard, and center. So there might be a little bit of a battle there at camp. But when McEwen went down last year, it was Nkanu that stepped in. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him be the answer there at center. The question for me is more at tackle. Their tackle play last year was not good. And we'll have to see if the guys that they brought back have improved or if somebody else wins that job out of camp, because it just was not up to the standard that they needed it to be last season.
Yeah, back at the center position, you don't see Raheem Brown or Bryce Bell maybe stealing that position? What are your thoughts on that?
I like Bryce Bell in that old Spencer Wilson spot.
Okay.
If you go back a bit with Spencer Wilson when he was the kind of, the jack of all trades, the guy that could step in and be the sixth man in that offensive group and play any of the positions. I like Bryce Bell. I mean, unless he wins a starting tackle job, which I think is entirely possible. But at center, I think they're going to start with Nkanu, and then they're going to look at Bryce Bell in that sixth spot because he is capable of playing across the line. I think that's a guy that you leave in that ability to do so, much like they had Spencer Wilson in kind of the late 2000s there, filling in anytime anybody got injured or rotationally fitting in, throughout the game whenever a guy needed a series or whatever. You were able to put Spencer Wilson in like that. I think that's what Bryce Bell was really good at the last couple seasons. So I think if Bryce Bell doesn't win a tackle job, he ends up being the sixth guy.
Because last year, didn't Raheem Brown take over when McEwen was out of the lineup?
Raheem Brown, I think, was in there for a few games. But okay. I don't think, if I'm not mistaken, and I very well could be because I don't know everybody's passports.
I could be as well because my memory is not very good.
Yeah, that's fair. So I'm just going to scroll up and double check before I say so. But Raheem Brown is a national, so he could be the answer. I mean, again, I think in this situation, they're just going to figure out who the best options are and fit them in. But I think that is a competition at camp. But I also think it's a spot where they've got multiple options. So it will be a training camp battle more than anything. But I think there's multiple options there.
Hey, that's what training camp's for, right?
Most of it's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. On the defensive side of the ball, obviously Cam Judge gone, Mike Rose gone. Who's going to fill those voids, in your opinion?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the Cam Judge one until yesterday, I would have said Fraser Sopik.
Me too. He retired.
Yeah, he's retired. From what I understand, there's an injury there that wouldn't have allowed him to play this year, and so I'm not sure what the exact details are. But from what I understand, that's why he retired, was not because of a lack of desire to play, or to stay with the team that just re-signed him and brought him back. But I think it was injury related. Boy, from a depth chart perspective, there's so many different options that they can go with. I mean, if you look, they've brought in. I'm just going to do a quick count here, but there are so far 15, 18. I think there's 25 defensive backs in camp right now. and you think a lot of those guys would have to end up being there. You've got Micah Tights, who could step in at linebacker. They drafted that Farinaccio kid, but I don't know that he's a starter in year one. So I'm not sure what they're going to do from a ratio perspective. I think adding Alford as a Canadian receiver that is going to be on the field full time, or you expect him to be on the field full time, can help with your ratio there. And if they can get Bryce Bell out to tackle, that also helps with your ratio. So maybe you don't need to plug the hole at linebacker with a Canadian. So that'll be among the more interesting things in the first couple days of camp, is to see where the starters are lining up initially, to see in that starting defense who's going to be where.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Derek Moncrief coming in and possibly taking over for Brandon Dozier? Do you think that's an improvement there?
So much relies on scheme. Moncrief is a great player. I think he's been a stud. I mean, I believe he's got some all-star nods throughout his career. So I mean, the guy is a good player. 31 years old. Can he get in there and do what they want him to do? You hope. I mean, I know he certainly took us to task with a pair of sacks towards the end of last season. So again, I think this entire defense, there are very few guys that I know absolutely are going to be playing positions in this defense, and I think it might start and end with Oramolade at the end of the defensive line. I think after that, there's all kinds of different options and different potential for guys to fit in. I mean, can Ben LeBras play corner versus safety, or are they going to have him back at safety? Do you get one of the draft picks that comes in to play safety? I think outside of Oramolade, I don't know who's starting on this defense right now. And I don't think the Stamps know either. Yeah. I think they have done such a wholesale overhaul defensively that, like I said, there's 26 DBs in camp. If you stretch that over to the D linemen, and then I'll try and do a live count of those, as thrilling as that is to listen to me try and do. But using all my fingers and toes, I mean, again, I think there's 20 D linemen in camp, and you're going to end up with 6, maybe 7 on the roster. There's just not a lot of guys that were here last year that will be starting this season. And I think you start with Oramolade. They brought in Miles Brown. You have to think as a free agent acquisition, he's probably penciled in as a starter, but not a lot of other guys that are there. Clarence Hicks was a rotational guy last year, and when he got into the roster, he made an impact, but he couldn't really stay on the roster. So is he a guy that steps up in his in this season and gets the quarterback? I mean, really, when you think about last season, we were plagued by 2 things: an inability to get to the quarterback and a tackle box that went from being 4 yards the year before to 6 yards last year when it came to the run game. The Stampeders were worst in the league against the run by almost a full 2 yards. And if you're doing that, you're not going to win games.
Yeah, that was a huge problem. Our offense wasn't a problem because Jake Mayer, I mean, he was close to leading the league in a lot of quarterback statistics, but then
I think that was, I mean, yeah.
Is that deceiving?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's very deceiving. I think when you look at it last year, Jake was the only guy that was healthy all year. And he did end up getting replaced for a game by Logan Bonner, but then he was back. And so if you look, Vernon Adams and Vernon Adams Jr. and Curtis Rourke split the season last year. So it's hard to look at Vernon Adams' stats and go, well,
Fair.
he passed for fewer yards than Jake Maier. Yes, he only played in half as many games. He only had half as many attempts. So when you look at those stats, I think they are awfully deceiving. And I think that there was an unwillingness within the Stampeders coaching staff to trust Jake to go deep in a way that I think won't exist with Vernon Adams Jr. I think it's going to be a lot of more of the deep ball, and it's going to be about getting receivers open down the field and trusting Vernon to make those throws. Now, again, you never know at the end of the day whether or not it's the offensive system that's forcing Jake to throw those 7-yard passes instead of trying to find the guy downfield, or if it's Jake making those reads and deciding to go there, because they do have 5 receivers on every play, or at least 4 receivers on every play when he throws the ball. So is he choosing, those hitch screens where it's take the ball and throw the hitch screen? That's obviously a called play. You're going to one option. You're going to that hitch screen. But when he's dropping back and making his decisions, I think we're going to find out very quickly if it was Jake throwing the ball low for high percentage completion percentages, or if it was Jake deciding to throw that because it was a high percentage throw and not bombing the ball downfield.
Yeah, definitely. I did notice a lot last season that he was off target a lot too. Even on some of the short passes, he was thrown behind guys and too high. But I don't think we'll have a problem with Vernon Adams.
No, I think our offense was a problem last year. I think that a lot of what killed the defense, especially late in games, was that they had spent a good amount of the game on the field previously. So I think there's just I think if you look at every one of the Stampeders' losses last year, there's going to be 3 or 4 back-to-back drives where they went 2-0. And that gasses your defense, which doesn't allow them to compete in the fourth quarter, and everything goes wrong from there. I don't see Vernon Adams Jr. running an offense that has 4 consecutive 2-and-outs.
That's fair. That's fair. Do you feel there's any positions that we failed to discuss that need discussing?
I think everything's up in the air. You've got 2 global Australian punters. We don't know who they're going to be. That Rene Paredes is your kicker. That Vernon Adams Jr. and Reggie Bagleton are your starters. That you can lock in 100%. I think you can lock in 100% that Dedrick Mills is a starter. That's it. I really think there's an opportunity for anybody on this team that has a contract to make this team and be a starter if they come to camp and show that they've earned it.
I would almost be willing to say that Dominique Grimes will probably be a starter.
I believe he should be. I believe he should be, but you never know, right? Like Grimes should be a starter. He's been great with Vernon Adams in the past. They do have chemistry, but I think you've got a very talented receiving room that, you've got Barnes is going to start as a receiver because you have to start a Canadian receiver there. I think you've got Alford who's competing for time. You have Philpott who's competing for time. You have Bagleton who's locked in. You have Malik Henry who's returning. Like you start to get to the idea that I've named 6 receivers and I haven't gotten to Tevin Jones, Dominique Grimes, and some of these other guys. Well, now you're at 8 receivers deep, and which 5 of those 8 are going to be the guys that are on the field all the time? And I think that's an incredibly interesting question that the Stampeders have to answer. I mean, do you go with Philpott, Alford, and Barnes all the time? And then you've only got 2 or 3 spots for Americans, but that allows you the ultimate flexibility to play Americans elsewhere. I think the ratio is going to be so interesting to see how the Calgary Stampeders do it this year. And I think they've got some depth within the Canadian room. But after those 3 that I just named with Philpott, Barnes, and Alford, you have no depth. There's nobody else there. So do you have a guy like Barnes be the backup to Philpott and Alford? Like there's so many ways you can chop this roster up this year that I think the preseason, unlike some past years where the preseason was just two things we had to talk about before the regular season started and they began their march to November every year. I think this year, more than any other that I can remember, there's opportunity within this Stampeders team to make a name for yourself.
Yeah,
or to
definitely.
solidify the name that you've made for yourself.
Definitely. Are you paying much attention to other CFL teams and how they're coming together for the season?
No.
That's fair. That's fair. We don't have to.
But I mean, Edmonton won the offseason.
For sure.
If you listen, right? They signed every free agent they could, and they've got Mark Killam up there, which is fantastic for him. I think nobody deserves an opportunity more right now than Mark Killam. I am also sad about the idea that he's not in the Stampeders room anymore because he was a great guy and a good leader, and I've never heard a bad word spoken about him by anybody. So I think the Elks are substantially better. Saskatchewan could be better if Harris can stay healthy. BC is Curtis Rourke. Can Nathan Rourke rather revert to form and be the best quarterback that anybody had ever seen, like he was before he went to the NFL, or is he the guy that we saw last year, who made $750,000 to not really play that well and had BC fall out of the playoffs? You had Vernon Adams Jr. throwing MOP numbers, and then they replaced him, and Nathan Rourke was just not the answer in the room or out of it. So how does that situation play in BC? So I think there's a lot of overarching questions that I think I have and ideas I have about every franchise. But am I paying that close attention to what they're doing in the overall scheme of things? Not really. I think like Winnipeg drafted everybody for the future. They drafted nobody for now because they believe that they can run it back. But does 37-year-old Zach Calero still have it in him? Is Bo Levi, was last season, which Bo Levi are we going to get? The guy that was deteriorating here in Calgary before he was replaced, or the guy that suddenly lit the world on fire last season? Does Bo Levi Mitchell come back and have another, MOP numbers type year, even though he didn't get any run for it because he was on a team that was so bad. But his numbers were fantastic. So, generically, I'm aware of what's going on in the league, but until I see a team in front of me during the regular season, I mean, if I cared about every team's training camp battles, I just wouldn't have time to do anything else.
I know. It's so funny. This is how much I don't pay attention. I saw a post today, I can't remember where, about Zach Calero, a statement about Zach Caleros' suspension. I was like, what? What happened?
Well, that only happened today too. So for those who didn't see it, Zach Caleros was suspended one game. He'll miss the first game of the season because the organization that does the random drug testing for CFL athletes reached out to him. He did not respond within 24 hours. And so he was given a 2-game suspension that the league, for some reason I don't understand, reduced to 1 week because they said it was extenuating circumstances. But from Zach's quote that was on 3 Down Nation this today, the response was effectively, well, I didn't know, it was an unknown number that called, and I didn't see the email, and I thought the text was spam or a scam text, and so I didn't answer that either. And it's like, I don't understand why that is the extenuating circumstance. Like, I ignored it is not a good enough reason for me to hear why a guy is not getting the full suspension that he's supposed to get due to this. Now, I am not in any way, shape, or form suggesting that Zach Caleros had performance-enhancing drugs or anything like that. But the rules are pretty clear. You have 24 hours to answer. They tried 4 different ways to contact him. He ignored all of them. and still and got his suspension cut in half. It just doesn't make sense to me.
The email went to his junk mail. He didn't see it, and he had no cell phone reception. No,
but I mean, even those things like that's you know, but that wasn't the excuse. If the excuse was, hey, I was up in the mountains camping, and you know, we went away for the weekend or a couple days because it's the off season, and I wanted to center and get ready for the season, and I had no cell service in wherever I was for a couple of days. And as soon as I got back to town and I got the text, I immediately contacted them. That's not what happened.
Yeah.
You know, that's not what he says happened. What he says happened was I saw it, I ignored it, and that's it. That's his entire reasoning is, well, I didn't recognize the number. Who answers unknown numbers? Grown-ups with jobs. Like you answer the phone.
Smart decisions on the field, terrible decisions off the field.
I guess so. But yeah, I'm not entirely comfortable with the idea that they gave his suspension in half when his own excuse is I just didn't bother.
God, even make up something like you were at a Buddhist temple with Aaron Rodgers or something.
Right, an ayahuasca retreat with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
You were down in Kansas City with Travis Kelce and Taylor.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on new CFL Commissioner Stuart Johnston?
Yes. They're just tentative. I mean, I think it's too early to tell.
Yeah.
I think the deal that they announced today with that programmatic company, if that's how you pronounce that word, because I've never heard it said out loud. But I think it's an incredible step forward. Knowing the technologies that exist, I think it's a good look ahead to where the CFL plans to go from a broadcast standpoint. I think that's a very encouraging step that they've managed to partner with that team or that company. I think that when you have that opportunity, it should bring in more advertising dollars. Because for people, I don't know if you're familiar with programmatics and what they do, but what they allow for is things like product placement and things like that to be specific to the viewer. So, you know, if I log on to, apparently the technology exists right now in a very simple example that if you log on to Netflix and watch a show where a character is drinking a Pepsi, I might log on and watch the same show and that character would be drinking a Coke because they know I like Coke and it's advertised to me. They know you like Pepsi and it's advertised to you. I mean, you might not like Pepsi, but in that's the technology that's available now in these things is to put those things into those ads and those product placements and have them be very specific to viewers. So what we might get in the future is somebody who's watching the game on TV might get a wholly different set of ads than somebody watching it streaming, somebody who's watching it through the TSN app or somewhere else, and in some other way. They might get a wholly different set of ads, which allows the league to make more ad revenue because you are targeting those ads to specific audiences based on the demographic of who's using those platforms to watch the league. So I do expect a healthy partnership with TSN. My hope is that he will still hold TSN's feet to the fire, and knowing TSN's business model as deeply as he will when he heads into the negotiation for the next TV deal, I think he'll be able to optimize it for the league. My only hope is that he is optimizing it for the league and not optimizing it to be chummy with his former employer.
Yeah, and I see kind of an improvement already with them getting Bud Light on as a sponsor as opposed to Twisted Tea. Although I like Twisted Tea. Twisted Tea's not bad.
Twisted Tea's not bad. Bud Light's beer. I think, but I mean, when you talk about name recognition, right? Bud Light and football go together.
Yes.
That's something that that goes together. And if you've got the people at Bud Light pushing the CFL, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
I think the more big name brands you can get into bed with from a league perspective, the better.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to ask you right now for your way too early Stampeders season prediction.
Ooh. Now, Jason, this is something that I thought about. I've researched.
Yeah.
I've looked at every depth chart of every team across the league, put them all together, despite what I said earlier. I've looked at the Stampeders schedule. I've consulted the sun and the moon charts. And I think that, the Farmer's Almanac, horoscopes for each individual player throughout the league. And after compiling all of that, I'm going to say right here that the Stampeders are going to go 18-0 and they're going to win the Grey Cup.
Dang. I really like that, especially since you did your research.
Yeah, it's very in depth. It takes from the minute the Grey Cup is handed over to the other team, I begin my research on every player in the league, including every player that could possibly be in the league. I do nothing but research from the minute the Grey Cup is handed out until the minute I start making this prediction at the beginning of every season. But I think 18-0.
Multiple spreadsheets.
Well, I've burned out the entirety of a supercomputer. The advancement of AI research is hindered by how much I'm using the super collider in Bern to find all of these things. But I wanted to go deep into all of this work. But 18-0 and a Grey Cup championship.
I'm going to write down my prediction right now, and I'm going to save it to the end of the season. I'm going to honestly say I think we're going to go 11-7.
Yeah, see, I can't wear Calgary Stampeders gear like you are and then say I want my team to lose 7 times. It just doesn't work for me. I can't. I've never understood this game. Yeah, but realism, schmealism. We're fans. Like let's be real about it. Is there a game where it kicks off and you think this is one I'm okay with them losing?
No. Oh no, I never said I'm okay with them losing.
18-0. 18-0. I expect them to win every week. I predict them to win every week. I want them to win every week. And so I won't even put it into the universe that I'm okay with them losing at all. They go 18-0 and they win the Grey Cup.
All right. So now if they do not go 18-0, it's all on you because you jinxed them.
No, I mean I've done it every year. When I was doing the Horseman Radio podcast all the way back to 2009 was when I started this 18-0 prediction. Some year I'll be right. Some year, they say a million monkeys on a million typewriters. One of them will produce the complete works of Shakespeare. That's what's going to happen here. Someday, Peters are going to go 18-0.
One of these years, a real time machine is going to be invented, and you can go back to 1972, was it? And you're right. You're absolutely
1948.
Right. 1948. Was it 48?
It was 48. They went 12-0 and won the Grey Cup.
Okay, so it wasn't 18-0.
But there is one undefeated season in Calgary in CFL history, and that's back in 1948 when the Calgary Stampeders went undefeated and won the Grey Cup.
I don't know why I thought it was 72. That's so weird. That number just popped in my head.
Yeah, you couldn't even go back to Vegas and bet on it back then.
Hey, you mentioned the CFL Horseman podcast. I know you're not doing that anymore. You were at Go Stamps Go. Are you still doing that, or what's happening there?
Well, the Go Stamps Go show, it went on hiatus last year. I'm not sure whether or not it'll come back at this time. I'm still pretty busy work-wise, as is Barry. And Steph, our other co-host, now has 3 children under 3. So getting away is difficult for her as well. So hopefully maybe someday the podcast will come back in some form. But for now, I'm kind of the samurai wandering through the woods, or the littlest hobo, if we want to keep it a Canadian reference. I show up in town, I do a quick interview, and then I'm off into the distance to maybe come back another day.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow you'll want to settle down.
yeah, maybe tomorrow I'll want to settle down, but for now, I'm just hitting the highway as the littlest hobo did. I've still got a home at 3 Down Nation for written content, of course, but for podcast this year, I might just be a wandering, roaming wherever the Stampeders play that week. You might find me on the Oppositions podcast.
Hey, you've always got a spot here. If you ever get the itch and you want to hop on, just let me know. You can come on any week, man.
Well, it's good. It's good to know because we can talk about Calgary specifically and don't have to necessarily hype up their opponents at all. So I'll definitely take you up on it more this year than I did last. And you can expect to see me.
I'll put a link to your socials down below, but tell people where they can find you if they so wish.
And you can find me at BBCanRyan. For those maybe unaware, I was on Big Brother Canada a couple years ago. They gave me that Twitter handle when I was on the show, and so I switched over from my original handle into that one. So on all platforms, it's BBCanRyan, and that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Well, as always, it's great talking to you and listening to your insights, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again this season.
Appreciate you having me, and always happy to come back.
I can't wait to go 18-0, man.
And the Grey Cup.
And the Grey Cup. Excellent. Thanks, Ryan.
That's going to do it for me here at Stampeders Roundup. Big thanks to Damien Alford and Ryan Ballantine taking time out of their busy schedules to chat about Stampeders football. Go check out all the great CFL shows on the Shotgun Sports Network, including Rouge, White, and Blue, Argos Fancast, and the Elks Call with my friends Catherine and Scout, a.k.a. the Elks Herd. They go live Wednesdays at 8:30 Pacific Time on the Shotgun Sports Network YouTube channel. From myself and friends on the Shotgun Sports Network, have a great night.
Here we go, here we go!